What's the difference between minimalistic living and frugal living? Today, I'll be investigating these two mindsets, their similarities and their differences, and most importantly, how you can use the power of both to stretch your precious dollars. Frank Thomas here from Wealth Generation Strategies, and today I'm going to be unpacking the topic of minimalistic and frugal living. And the question here is, so Frank, what is minimalistic living and frugal living? It's a great question. When I was reviewing these two lifestyles, I was surprised by what I found. My wife was looking at these materials at the same time, and she made an astute observation. By far, she definitely is the frugal one, whereas I'm definitely the minimalistic one. And I used to confuse minimalism for frugalism, and they're kind of different. Now I do have frugal tendencies, and my wife also has minimalistic tendencies. So we are a bit of both, but she's definitely more frugal, and I'm definitely more minimalistic. Let's start out by first looking at what a minimalist would think in comparison to a frugalist. Now here's the big differences. Starting out with the primary goal. The minimalist would always focus in on quality over quantity. And I'm guilty of this one. And remove excess to make room for what matters. A frugalist would focus on spending less and maximizing every single dollar spent. So can you see the difference there? I would not think twice about spending much more on something I know is really good quality and I'll get a lot of use out of compared to, let's say, a lower quality of the same thing. Whereas my wife, on the other hand, would not buy either one and look for a good used deal, whether it really fit the bill or not. You'll see more on that in a second. Let's look at the mindset. The minimalist is always saying less is more. Seek simplicity, clarity, and purpose. And the frugalist is saying, stretch every single dollar. Seek savings and smart money choices. And that leads to the spending approach. The minimalist will say, I may spend more on fewer high quality or ethical items. Whereas the frugalist would choose the most cost-effective option, even if it's not the highest quality. But before jumping into the similarities of these two approaches, if you're enjoying this video so far, give it a like. I love it when you guys give it a like. It really helps me out. Also, if you want to see more of my videos that focus on making and saving money and creating wealth, be sure to subscribe. And I'd love to hear in the comments if you're a frugalist or a minimalist and why you think that. Love to hear what you have to say. Okay, so let's look at the similarities between these two different mindsets. Both have the mindset of intentional living. Both emphasize on conscious choices and rejecting mindless consumption. Now, that's an important mind shift to make. If you want to become wealthy one day, you gotta either be in both those camps or in one of them. If you're continuing to buy things, you're not really thinking about it. Do I really need it? Am I really going to use this? You're never going to find wealth, and because you're going to be spending what you have in your hands every single day. So something to consider. Okay, simplicity. Each of these different methodologies promotes simplifying your lifestyle to reduce stress, clutter, and unnecessary spending. About 20 years ago, my wife and I decided to move to South Africa, and it forced us into a position of becoming extreme minimalists. We had our lives in a 1-meter box that we shipped over to South Africa. Everything else went, except, of course, for things that would fit into our suitcases, and that was it. We ended up selling a lot of stuff, and I'll tell you something. We lived that year there. We were intending to stay longer, but after a year, we kind of thought, we need to go back to Canada. Regardless, we had a year where we lived with the bare minimum, and we loved it. We had no bills. Everything was paid off. Our dollars went so far. We are able to enjoy the finer things in life at times. Like we could go get a nice supper instead of, a cheap supper. Or we could go get supper. Also, too, we could enjoy the things in life that really matter to us. Our family over there, walks on the beach. I just can't emphasize it enough because don't realize when you have a lot of stuff, it clutters your mind as well as your house. And I see a lot of people who get stuck, who become hoarders because their minds are so full of all the stuff they have in their head. Believe it or not, I believe it's a true thing. Simplicity in both of these choices is really key in my opinion. Resourcefulness, whether it's reusing items or avoiding waste, both approaches value making the most of what you have. And I totally agree with that. You try to make sure that you get what you need at the very least and use it until you can't use it anymore. Repair it if you can. You get my point. So resourcefulness is a good thing as well. And finally, the financial benefits for both the minimalist and frugalist are both often in saving money. Though one is the goal, the frugalist is always looking to save money. The other one, the minimalist, has the side effect of saving money, so to speak. So you will save money either way. Now let's get to point number 3 and talk about some real examples. Okay, my wife loves shopping in the used thrift store. She just loves it. I don't mind if I have something that I see as valuable and I need to go find it. I know I could save a few bucks and get what I need. But there's other things I would never buy in a used store like that. Things like clothing. I do find that the men's clothing is subpar and hard to find the right thing. As my wife loves to shop for women's clothing, and she does. She really does. She loves coming home with 20 shirts, like 20 new blouses, and she's like, I only spent $20 or $30 on all these blouses, and they're all $30, $40, $50 blouses each. So hats off to her for that. Another good example is today we went to the thrift stores looking for a short bookshelf for my office. Though we saw a few, none really fit the bill in my mind for one reason or another. And I know that I was frustrating my wife a bit. And I decided that, let's just cut it short. And when I find the right bookshelf, I'll find it then. So one thing you got to watch out for is one attitude can frustrate the other attitude. So just a heads up. Let's look at point number 4, which is situations to avoid with either lifestyle. First of all, avoid the extremes. This can include spending too much to always get the best, or on the other end of the spectrum, spending nothing and living a very diminished life. Did you know that the Christmas movie The Scrooge came out of somebody's life? Look it up. It's a very interesting story. Give room for your partner and their point of view as well. One thing that can cause arguments is dying on every hill if you're either a strong minimalist or a strong frugalist and your partner isn't. Learn what hills to die on. In either camp, avoid debt to purchase a great deal. If you don't have the money, then you don't have it to spend. Avoid debt like the plague, especially in uncertain times like right here, right now. So the big question is, do you find that you're leaning towards being a minimalist or a frugalist? If you're leaning towards the latter, I've got a great video for you. It should show up on the screen shortly, and its topic is Mastering the Art of Frugal Living, a guide for 2025. It is definitely a must-see. Either way, thank you for joining me today. I hope to see you again. And like I mentioned earlier, if you've really enjoyed this video, watch it to the end. Consider subscribing if you haven't. Thank you so much. Frank Thomas here. We'll see you in the next video. Ciao for now.